This handheld is awesome. And you should watch this video and buy one if you think it looks good. Hello, hi, how you doing? I'm TechDweeb, welcome. Thanks for clicking on the video today. The other day, I was walking along in the woods, listening to the sound of the wind in the trees, feeling the gentle sprinkle of Canadian snow falling on my dweeby nose. And as I stopped to high-five a squirrel, it suddenly occurred to me, I don't have enough retro emulation devices. So I screamed with rage, threw the squirrel into a lake, ran back to my car, drove to the retro handheld emulation device store, and bought this. Man, nothing like getting out into nature to make you realize what's really important. What is this, you ask? Well, it's the TrimUI Smart Pro. What makes this thing a pro, you ask? Well, several things, I guess. Chief among them is that it says Pro right on the box, and the device itself sorta looks pro-ish. A lot more pro-ish than the non-pro TrimUI. Man, these things couldn't be more different. What's that? How did I get this orange TrimUI Smart Non-Pro? Well, none of your business, actually. Now, if you wouldn't mind keeping the rest of the questions to yourself, I have a review to make here. The TrimUI Smart Pro is kind of an anomaly in the retro handheld sphere. For one thing, it's made by a company that doesn't have a great track record for making handhelds that are top sellers. Also, it kinda seems too good to be true. It looks cool, it has a big screen, it has the guts to handle lots of stuff, and it's coming in at a budget price. So on paper, it should be a home run, right? So why isn't it? Well, I don't know, to be honest. I think it's freaking amazing. At the price that this is going for, it's absolutely hands down the best handheld that you can get. This thing is $79, and for that price, you get a gaming experience that nothing can beat. This thing is badass, and my goal today is to show you why it's worthy of your attention. Also, this TrimUI Smart Pro was sent to me by my good buddies over at Go Game Geek. They sell this, and you can buy one right now if you want one. There's a link to this product on Go Game Geek in the description below. The box is pretty nice, a nice full color photo and some graphics. Not much info about the device itself. In the box, we get a word paper that shows you where the buttons are, and the device itself, and a USB-C cable. And that's it. That's all you get. And that's plenty. More than you deserve, to be honest. The device is, in my opinion, absolutely amazing looking. I'm in love with this handheld. Not just because it comes in my favorite Game Boy DMG inspired retro color scheme, but there's lots that feels good to my eyeballs about this thing. I like the rounded edges. I like the screen to body ratio. I like that it's slim and slightly rounded for style and comfort. We get RGB accents on the thumbsticks, but thankfully you can turn them off. This handheld feels better without RGB, in my opinion. It's solid feeling and it has a good weight to it. It feels like a premium device, but it's not priced like a premium device. On the front, we got a D-pad, face buttons, thumbsticks, menu, start and select, and dual front-facing stereo speakers. On the top, we got bumpers and triggers, power button, USB-C hole for data transfer, and volume buttons. On the bottom, we got a performance mode toggle, some sort of rectangle that does nothing, another USB-C hole for charging, and a microphone apparently, SD card hole, and a headphone hole, and nothing but some minimalist branding around the back. Real quick, let's go over the guts of this thing. It's powered by an all-winner A133+. We also get 1 GB of LPDDR4X RAM with 8 GB of internal flash storage. We have a big 5-inch 720p IPS display, built-in 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi, rumble motor, and a 5,000 mAh battery. No video out, no Bluetooth, and no cookies. It doesn't make cookies. It's a retro handheld. Oh wait, the screen is a beaut.
It's a beaut, Clog, it's a beaut.
It's a 5-inch IPS OCA laminated screen, 720p, and it's bright and crisp and colorful. I am blown away at the quality of this screen, considering this is an $80 device. It's a widescreen, so you'd think that 4x3 content isn't going to work great on it, but most of the non-16:9 games have custom bezels so that it fills out the black bars on the sides of the screen. And they make it feel more intentional to play 4x3 content on this screen.
Eddie?
And the sound is just great as well. It's loud, decently bassy. But most important, we have dual front-facing stereo speakers, so the sound is actually pointed at your face, which is where you want it. The audio-visual experience on the Smart Pro is probably the biggest part about it that makes it feel like a crazy value. The controls are kinda hit or miss. I love the D-pad. It's a bit smaller than you typically find on devices, which is fine, but the actual quality of the inputs here is rock solid. No false diagonals at all, but they're easy to hit when you want to. I had no issue pulling off my special moves in fighting games. The face buttons are good. They're quite shallow, very little travel, and they're clicky, and I like them. I like that the shoulders are relatively low profile. I think if you're doing stack shoulders, then this is the way to do it. They managed to get some stack shoulders that feel comfortable, but they don't have big humps, like the RP3 Plus, so it gets a good grade in the pocket test. The downside here is that my L2 and R2 are freaking stiff, man. I have to put an abnormal amount of pressure on these to get them to register. Maybe that's fixable with a mod, or maybe they'll break in, I don't know. But it's one downside to the triggers. Not a game breaker, just not as comfortable as it could be. The sticks are super interesting. Apparently these are Vita-style sticks, and they're quite small, not a lot of travel, but they're also very recessed. Great for the pocket factor, but they end up feeling a little less like sticks, more like knobbly nubs. They feel fine, I can definitely play with these, it just takes a little getting used to. No L3 or R3 though, FYI. So overall, very unique device, and I'm a big fan of the size, the hand feel, the pocket feel, and the overall controls. It's good, I like it. The system on here is another unique thing about the TrimUI Smart Pro. This is a custom Linux system, and it's pretty nice actually. Nice looking UI, it looks good on this screen. We have a favorite section, then recents, then they have this best section, which has a few playlists. Game is where most of your stuff will go down, so you can scroll through your list of systems, press A to go into a system, and you'll see your games there. Some of them have box art, but most of them are just weird promo art. And most of the games lists are wonky. Some of the game lists have numbers in front of the names, some of them have multiple ROM sets, some of them are arranged by letter and they're good, and some of them are just a big disorganized mess. Luckily, we have a search function, so it's not the end of the world. And of course, you can organize this and add your own games however you want. There's an app section, not much in there, net play, which is empty, and then settings, and in here we get brightness control. Speaking of which, the screen gets fairly dim, so it'll be fine in a dark room. And we can turn the thumbstick RGB lights on and off. You can connect to Wi-Fi, enable a hotspot for netplay, I think, change the themes, except there's only one theme. Then we have key map. And this is actually cool. Here, there's just one option to change the keys from a horizontal orientation to vertical for, vertical arcade games. So you don't have to manually rebind the keys to play these games like this. They just work right out of the box. Very cool feature, actually. And then we have System, where you can change the language, refresh your ROM list, do a factory reset, hardware test, and then they have this calibrate joystick option, but I'm gonna warn you, my buddy Retro Breeze had a heck of a time once he did this. Totally messed with his joystick functionality. So I wouldn't advise touching this unless you have no other choice, just in case. Flash mode, which I guess is for updating the device, and an info screen. Gaming on this thing is so dang good, you guys. The games are all pre-configured and set up nicely. You can press the menu button to bring up a quick menu where you can save and load your state, exit the game, but also go into the advanced menu where you'll be able to get to your RetroArch settings. I already started tweaking my RetroArch settings to customize everything the way that I like, and you can save your core overrides, so you shouldn't have any issues with customizing the experience. All the old retro systems are going to play great on here. I love that we don't have to make any compromises either. They look amazing, they sound amazing. I tested every system and I had a great time, both in seeing how the games looked, but also just playing the games. I wanted to mention that the arcade games are divided into multiple systems. So we have some MAME, some CPS 1, 2, and 3, some Neo Geo, and some Final Burn Neo, which has over 1,000 games, and most of the games from the other collections are also in Final Burn Neo, so I'd just stick with that, personally. My favorite system to play on here is Game Boy Advance. Not just because it's my favorite retro system, but also because it's a bit more of a widescreen system, and it feels very natural to play on a 16:9 with minimal bezels, and the games are so nice looking on this display. I could see myself playing a ton of GBA on this thing. PS1 is going to be no problem. No game will give you any issue, even if you use the enhanced resolution upscaling. Again, looking great on this screen and playing beautifully. Comes with 45 PS1 games too. Then we have Nintendo 64. Most Nintendo 64 is going to run fine, but you will find that maybe the 10% hardest to emulate games don't run well. The N64 games that work are awesome to play on here though. Make sure that you have your performance toggle set correctly. By the way, Retro Game Corps had to amend his review because he had that set to battery save, and the performance is better if you have that off. And I don't blame him at all. There's zero documentation about what that switch does, and if he didn't mention it, I probably would have made the same mistake. And Dreamcast is going to be a bit more hit or miss. Dead or Alive 2 is a harder game to run, and it's running here, but it has frame skip enabled. So it's not going to feel perfect, but I think that most stuff will at least be playable and tons of stuff will run perfectly. And PSP is a similar situation. However, if you tweak some settings, you should be able to get everything into a playable state. God of War was running okay for me with frame skip. And if this game runs, then everything else will run. PSP is a beautiful system to play on here because of this 16:9 screen. The device itself feels like a PSP as it is. Heck, you could buy this just for PSP and consider the rest of the stuff just a bonus. It's that good. I play with a ton of these things, and when a device feels good to me, like not just fine, but good, I take notice. The TrimUI Smart Pro feels good. It's a combination of the big beautiful screen, the high quality sound, the clean useful UI, the solid controls, and the size and shape and the hand feel. It's hard to describe, but everything just comes together very well. And I keep coming back to the price. $79 for this much gaming and this quality of a device? How freaking lucky are we? It's priced like a cheap device, but it feels more like one of the big boys, like it should be competing with a Retroid rather than a Miu Mini. I'm kinda confused that it's not more popular than it is. Don't sleep on this one. If you've been in the market for a banger mid-range handheld, this thing is my new top pick at this price point. And if you want to buy one, GoGameGeek will sell you one. You can find this on their website with a free case and screen protector linked in the description below. And that brings us to the end. Thanks for watching and stuff. If you like this video, then check out this video, my review of the Retroid Pocket 2S, another amazing device at an amazing price, and that one plays GameCube. Ooh, there's a link on the screen right now and down in the description below, and you can go watch it now because we're done. I'm TechDweeb, thanks for watching, bye-bye.